freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 525 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by Pot of Gold Estate Auctions, that is POGauctions.com, where you set the price on guns, coins, ammo, accessories, antiques, collectibles, cars, boats, you name it. POGauctions.com. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. Our theme today is Women for Gun Rights 10th Anniversary National Summit. And our guest today is Dianna Muller. Dianna is the founder of Women for Gun Rights and Women for Gun Safety, a nonpartisan educational organization empowering women nationwide through Second Amendment education. She champions the belief that gun rights are women's rights and that every woman should be prepared to be her own first responder.
Welcome back to the show, Miss Dianna Muller.
Howdy, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah, and I love that you know the routine, the Gun Freedom Radio. Look like you were saying it.
I'm lip syncing.
I love it. Well, let's start by really celebrating and highlighting a huge milestone. I can't believe I have been a part of this organization for a decade of my life. Does it feel like you have been doing this work for 10 years?
No, it doesn't. And then when you add that I've been doing this work for free for 10 years, it's a little bit, I'm just
right.
Like, what am I doing? But it's something that the Lord's put on my heart, and I'll continue to do it as long as he's leading me in that direction. So I appreciate that you have been a part of it from the beginning. I cannot believe it's been 10 years. When we first started this, I didn't want an organization. I didn't want to create another Second Amendment organization. I just wanted to do something effective using the woman's voice.
Yes.
And it just kind of grew. And, over the years, we went from the DC project to Women for Gun Rights. We opened up our doors to everybody and started having our state directors that had come. Well, we didn't have state directors in the beginning. They just had one woman from every state. But then we had them go back home and do the same thing at the state level. Once we saw about that 2019 mark when Virginia fell to an all government establishment from the governor on down, and you saw those sanctuary counties and 2A sanctuaries. So that's when we started realizing that, that there is something here. There is an organization to be had. And it's just been this year, our 10th year, that we actually have a paid membership model. So
Yay.
Yeah, that's been huge. I had no idea. I knew I didn't do it for the first 10 years because I didn't have the bandwidth or the knowledge to, it's hard to manage a membership base like that. It's although, the recurring payments and things like that. So if you are one of our new members, thank you for your patience, because this has not been a smooth ride so far, but it's been a very good ride in that we're not just solely relying on the industry for support, that we're relying on the individuals that want to be a part of something and want to be able to safeguard the Second Amendment in a little bit different way than the legacy organizations.
Well, it's wonderful, and it has been quite the journey. And, we're self-employed, and this has been, a passion project for our entire family. When we come to DC, we are 3 generations, and I would have never done that kind of work, never in a million years, if you hadn't have developed this organization. And so me, my daughter, and my 2 granddaughters, we come to DC We make appointments with our legislators. Who knew? Before I started doing this 10 years ago, I didn't know you do that kind of thing, right? And it
Well,
has impacted our family conversations and the trajectory of our families' lives. And so thank you for that. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
well, I was going to quote you because you like to call it an incubator, a
Mm-hmm.
leadership incubator. And
Mm-hmm.
I really do see that from a lot of different places, a lot of different women that have stepped into a role that they wouldn't have traditionally. So that's how I know we're being impactful. I see the results, so that's why we continue to do it.
What's amazing.
We are seeing results everywhere, Diana. I can't believe it. Since women got involved in gun rights, we have moved so much further up the table instead of backwards. And I
Yeah.
think that's the key. And the thing that gets me the most is that I really impacts me about your organization is women being their own first responder. If you
Mm-hmm.
really let that sink in, because if they can't do that, then they're not going to get help.
And
Mm-hmm.
their kids' own first responder. I mean, I
Right.
was in law enforcement for 22 years and I know exactly how long it took me to get from point A to point B. And when it's you, and I know exactly how it feels to be waiting for the cavalry to get there. So yeah, if you want to protect yourself, and more importantly to most mamas, if they want to protect their children, you have to take into consideration carrying a firearm or at least some sort of defense plan.
What
Absolutely.
made you decide to do this?
Oh, it's totally a God thing. I was living the high life. I'd retired from police work. I was shooting for a living, getting paid to go compete. And I got too close to Washington, D.C. And a friend of mine who did a lot of, oh, she lost her husband. Jane Horton lost her husband. My friend Chris Horton, he was killed in action. And she did a lot for the military families of lost soldiers. So she said, "Do you want to meet your legislator?" And I was totally apathetic. I was okay, I guess. And it was during that meeting that I had just that light bulb moment of, hey, is there something that we should be doing as professional shooters to help educate the people in this building? So from there, we pared it down to the woman's voice, and then we scaled it to the organization that you see today.
And we are celebrating our 10th anniversary with the biggest fly in, the biggest summit, because we've been doing this except for when COVID shut us out of the people's house in our nation's capital, right? Except
Mhm.
for the year or two, every single year you've brought the one woman from each state, the state directors, to DC to have our appointments with our legislators on the Hill, right?
Mhm.
This year, you have just expanded the model. Talk to us about this national summit for 2026.
Sure. So, all these 10 years, I would hear people, I want to come to DC with you. I want to come to DC with you. And I'm like, well, we've got, somebody covering your state. I'll keep you in mind. But yeah, my goal would be to have 435 women there,
Mm,
one for every congressional House office.
mm,
So one of these days, this year, we're going to have a max of 120. And this is the first year that we've opened it up like this. We're selling tickets. We only have a few remaining. And our national summit, our inaugural national summit is shaping up to be a fantastic event. So we're going to have a gala. We added a gala because we've never had a gala. We are still having our conference and our rally on Sunday, which those are the things that we traditionally do when we have our state director fly in. And then on Monday, the big news is that the White House is giving us a briefing on Monday morning. And so we're all going to the White House. And then from there, we're going to go back to Capitol Hill and take care of the big group, the big 120 group. Then Tuesday, our state directors will stay over an extra day and we'll have our policy meetings then. So we're pretty excited about it. I know that you've been excited about it, and I'm thankful that I get to share it with your audience. And if you can't come, I mean, well, the rally is open to the public and free.
Hmm.
The gala, we can hold a lot more people at the gala. That room is a lot bigger, and the White House is maxing us at 120. So that's why we're maxing the conference out at 120. But the gala, you can get a gala ticket. You can come in on Saturday, go to the gala Saturday night, hit the rally on Sunday, and then take off home. And that would be a perfect little weekend in DC.
I love it. And that's tickets are available at
Womenforgunrights.org.
Simple as You Please. And the rally is such a positive and exciting event. We're standing on the lawn of our nation's Capitol building with that beautiful dome behind us. The symbolism is just amazing. The speakers that you've had over the years are so impactful. And I mean, you can't even begin to describe it until you've experienced it. So I highly recommend everybody to go to the website, womenforgunrights.org, click in, get whatever level ticket you can, buy a membership to become a member, or just donate to help out with the work that we're doing. Because we have been an all volunteer force for all of these years, and every dollar it matters. But one of the things I want to talk about is how beautifully you have orchestrated not only finding your state leaders, because they are the most amazing group of women. I mean, we are like type A, get stuff done women, but we collaborate so beautifully. And then to collaborate with some of the organizations that you have. And you can certainly mention some of the sponsors that you've been able to organize, but Leadership Institute is where I'm trying to get to with my long-winded lead up. Leadership Institute has gotten very excited about working with Women for Gun Rights and vice versa, and they're going to be giving some of the educational pieces at the conference.
Yep, this is going to be the first time we've ever had outside sources come in. I'm expecting them to be a little bit more robust in their civics and their leadership stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it. I want to thank you for that introduction, and we'll see. It's just going to be it's a blessing all the way around,
Awesome.
but uh, it's exciting.
It really
You
is.
know, I went to one of the events with you once. I'm not a woman, I'm pretty sure, but I went to one and I just have to say how it was so educational.
Yes.
We got to meet a lot of the senators and things, and
Mhm.
it's super important. And I think women get involved with this is just going to help change the world to a better place.
Absolutely. And you have now developed two organizations because, you weren't busy enough with just the one. So you have Women for Gun Rights and you have Women for Gun Safety. Can you kind of talk about the compare contrast of those?
Sure. So Uh, you know, we have relied on the industry, and the industry can write off all of the C4 donations. But in order to be able to kind of delineate between that C3, which is going to be tax deductible for the individual, and the C4, which is the action. So we're going to move the majority of our stuff over to the majority of our educational stuff will be Women for Gun Safety. And that was intentional, trying to take our words back, and then the activism will stay with Women for Gun Rights. So that's a new launch this year as well.
And so Women for Gun Safety is not a membership organization, but it's certainly one where when you donate, then you do get to write it off and keep your money
Correct.
where you want it to be instead of where the government decides it should be,
Correct. For
right?
real.
For real. Um, so this is clearly a female-driven effort. We are called Women for Gun Rights. Why is there a need for your organizations? And where do men fit in? Because they certainly do.
For sure. So the need is that I feel like Women for Gun Rights is a little bit more effective in speaking and safeguarding the Second Amendment than some of the legacy organizations. The legacy organizations are so necessary and doing such great work, but they can't speak to those people who have been infected, I will say.
Mm,
that have been propagandized to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Women for Gun Rights really fills a hole to
Mm-hmm.
speak to that audience, that person, that middle of the road, that voter
Mm-hmm.
uh, that needs to hear from somebody that they can hear from and trust, that to normalize and celebrate the Second Amendment and
Mm-hmm.
do that public opinion, affecting public opinion and policy. That's kind of where we hit our sweet spot. I think that's where we can do things that other organizations cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Men, you asked about men. I'm glad you asked about men. So our arch nemesis is moms demand action. If you are
Mm-hmm.
not in the advocacy space, if you do not know the effort that the gun control lobby is putting on undermining the Second Amendment, you should really kind of, set a Google search for moms demand action alone. That's just one of the many groups. But set a Google search for them and you will see what they're doing and how effectively they are at shaping public opinion. So I watched Moms Demand. They've got the $60 million budget, and I'm going to do what they do. And they will throw a red shirt on a guy, a gentleman, in a heartbeat, and we will throw a teal shirt on a gentleman in a heartbeat. So, yes, gentlemen are welcome to join. Gentlemen are welcome to attend our national summit. We are not discriminatory.
Absolutely. And Dan likes to say he's my bag handler, right? And polka dots are my camo, so he's like the polka dot porter of my
Yes.
my luggage. But so much more than that. If he didn't do everything that he does to keep our businesses running, I couldn't do any of the things that I do as a full-time volunteer advocate for our Second Amendment. And so, we certainly want to honor the men that that do help us with this, but also not diminish how important it has been to highlight the female voice and highlight how it's different for women to move in the spaces of self-defense and the trainings and even the clothes, like all the different things that are unique to women, and our voices are as unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's very important. And men have built this country, they've built this world. We are their helper, we are their sidekicks. So I'm not going to diminish the role of the males in our society. I am going to celebrate it. But this organization is definitely focused on highlighting the female voice in order to safeguard the Second Amendment.
I
Absolutely.
I think that it's important to have anybody that you can get involved, but I do think that something about guys, men, that they can't communicate with women in a way that, especially a woman that's never handled a firearm before or is unsure on what side of the fence they should be on, that
Mhm.
men are not good at that. And that's why I think
Well,
women are needed.
there's been a lot of propagandized against the men over the past 20, 30 years too. So, the feminist movement has really demonized men. The gun control lobby has demonized gun owners. And traditionally that's been white men. So
Right.
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's really important for the women, the minorities to recognize and express the Second Amendment is for us all, and
Mhm.
hold those accountable that aren't doing it responsibly. Hold them accountable within your community.
So I
I,
want
I,
to
I have to, I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
but Diana, I owned a gun shop in the 80s, and I'm embarrassed in the fact that how men and gun shops treated women. Women only came in to pick up something for their husband. They
Yeah.
weren't part of this. And I saw men that were controlling this industry lose little at a time their rights, little at a time.
Mm-hmm.
When women got involved, things have changed. And we are seeing movement in our side better because of women and the way they
Absolutely.
communicate, the way they they carry themselves, everything else. So I think men did a bad job in the past. And it's time for us to recognize that women are the drivers.
Well, thank you for that.
We-
I'll take it.
We'll be co-drivers.
Co-drivers. I like
Right.
it.
I like to
I
be
like
driven every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to lean into the whole idea of teal, right? We say teal for 2A. You're wearing one of our iconic teal t-shirts right now that you designed, by the way. And not only why teal is so important, I like to say that, teal looks good on everybody, just like freedom does. But the design that you have, there's been some conversation even within our ranks, like, should we have the AR silhouette so prominent? Does it help the conversation? Does it shut conversation down? And I'd like you to share, because I know that it has absolutely opened doors for conversations in elevators, right? And on airplanes.
For
But
sure. This and
yeah.
I stand staunchly on anybody who comes at me with that, like, why, can't we just wear a teal scarf or something like that? And I was like, we're not Coke. Nobody knows who we are. You have to be very blatant. And when you're very blatant, you influence everyone that you come across. You influence the janitor all the way up to the president of the United States. So if you put this shirt on, you will have a conversation that you did not initiate. I guarantee it. Now, will there be somebody that the last time that I was in Washington, D.C., me and Kate Giddens, our Northeast Regional Director, we were doing some scouting stuff, and we had our shirts on, and this lady from across the road, across the intersection with her 4-year-old daughter, she's like, "Hey, I like your shirt. I hope you get hit by a car." And I was like, "Your mom
God
must
loves
be
you too.
proud." Yeah, your mom must be proud. So you will definitely influence people. And, how I responded to that is going to influence her. Like, maybe one of these
Yes.
days she's going to look in the mirror and she's like, well, that was probably pretty ugly and pretty much of a bully move. And
Mm,
she didn't, and whether she recognizes it ever or not, but that's the power of the signature shirt.
hmm
And if you didn't have the guns on nobody would know what we were educating and not legislating.
hmm
So and have the guns been kicked out of hearing rooms and very liberal, very anti-gun places? Yes, they have.
mm.
Um, but that just goes to show, I mean, it's a powerful message.
Well, we're going to
It
Disneyland
is.
in November, and I think we're going to all wear those shirts. But I look at that shirt and I say that looks like freedom to me. When I look at a red shirt, not that I'm wearing red right now, but the
I know.
the red shirts that are against gun rights, I look at the red represents all the bloodshed that
Mm.
people that could defend themselves were not able to do because of that.
Or
So
communism.
yeah, so
Yeah, I know. It's interesting how we do use, red is the
education.
Republican color, right? But then it's been taken on by the anti-gunners who are very much not for freedom. It is interesting how you can't just necessarily look at a color and not, understand what the message behind it is. But your shirt leaves no room for interpretation. It tells us exactly what's going on.
Well, I'll tell you a story from Tennessee. We had that special session in Tennessee several years ago, and a whole contingent of moms demand action. They had a press conference, they had candles light in the hallway, they went all out. I learned so much from them every time I see them. But we had a press conference on the backside of that. Well, some of the people within the Moms Demand crew would see us, and they were just so friendly and asking questions about. They didn't read the shirt.
Oh,
They didn't absorb that we were against them, and we were so kind to them. We just
yes.
played along. But they are the point being is that they are so used to being the only ones in the room that
Mm,
they couldn't even open their eyes enough to say that that's not us. That's the
hmm
opposite of us. So
hmm
Mm.
yeah, but then we have been quoted from the Moms Demand social media too, because we'll be in the hearing room. That was like a big deal for me. Like, yeah, they know who we are, and they called us all sorts of names, and saying that we were making them less safe and stuff, but they did show a picture of our teal shirt with their red shirt in a hearing room. And I was like, we're coming
Awesome.
for you. We're coming
Yeah.
for you.
Diana, have you ever been told that you can't wear that shirt into a building?
I have not, but we have ladies that have.
Yeah.
That has not happened to me. We
Every
live in
time,
Arizona, so.
every time somebody says "Mom, demand action,"
Mhm.
it reminds me of walking down the strip in Vegas. I don't know, I don't know
It
why.
should be a dating website, but
It should
it's
be.
not.
It should
Right.
be.
So
I don't know who thought of that name, but it seems ill-advised to me. Um, so, going back to that, having conversations with the side that, doesn't love our freedoms, doesn't embrace the idea of individual responsibility and safety. Because of these opportunities that Women for Gun Rights has afforded me and my three generations to come to Washington, D.C. and make appointments with our legislators. Well, in Arizona, one of our senators is Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly's
why don't you
wife
say that for us?
is Gabby Giffords. Gabby Giffords, very tragically, was grievously injured by being shot by a man who had a gun and misused his rights. Well, now there's Giffords. That is one of these Bloomberg funded, one of these anti-gun groups. So I go to Washington, D.C., and I want to make an appointment with my senator who is supposed to represent me, knowing what he and his wife do, right, as part of their living. It really does seem like a conflict of interest for someone in his position to even run for a public office where he has to be a public servant, a public representative. But I will say this, his office meets with me every time. And I can't say that about the other senator who is a Democrat, Ruben Gallego. His office is always just too busy when I'm in DC. But Mark Kelly's office meets with us. You and I had an opportunity to go in together and meet with them. They give us lots of time. They are very respectful. And do I think for an instant that our presence there is going to influence the senator? I do not. But do I think that we have an amazing opportunity when we sit down with one of his staffers who is a normal person who goes home and has dinner with their family and talks to their carpool mates and that sort of thing? Yes, I think we have a huge opportunity to influence that person to go, wait, I had a really fun and interesting conversation with these women who didn't have horns growing out of their heads, right? It's amazing, the idea that we could cause just enough cognitive dissonance with one of the staffers that in their personal life, it could make a huge difference.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about having those conversations and intentionally having those conversations and being prepared for those conversations. So on our website, I think it may have gotten bumped off since the summit registration is up there, but we have a one-page talking points. If you're ever going to go to an interview, if you're ever going to go to the Thanksgiving table or wherever it may be that you think that one of these conversations may come up, just download it real quick, print it off, and study it. Study it on a regular basis. But if you do not know, I've always said this about the Second Amendment and preaching the Second Amendment. It's the same thing as preaching the gospel. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, if you don't ever read his word, if you don't ever go to church and fellowship, if you do not have that foundation, you can't preach about Christ. And the same thing happens with the Second Amendment. If you don't study and be prepared to have those conversations or be prepared for somebody to be ugly and not be ugly in return, you'll get caught off guard. You're not going to know what to say. You're not going to be influential.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're ugly, you're going to be influential in the wrong way. So I just encourage everybody to A, have a relationship with Jesus, and then B, have a relationship with the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
I struggle with that sometimes with talking to somebody that's really strong about gun rights and stuff, against gun rights,
Uh-huh.
And I struggle with that, but I have learned through the 10 years of listening to her. I know it's been 10 years because 3,650 days she has talked to me about this. But anyway, I do think it's important that if we go in there and scream at people,
Mm.
all they're going to think about how big of a turd we are. But
Yep.
if we go in there and we talk to them, we plant a seed. They go home at night, they'll think about it. They may not change, but they'll think about it. But so, that's what we have. So, I don't know, but I was gonna, next time we have a group of moms demand action, could we invite them to a shooting range and
Oh yeah.
say, let's go
I would
shooting?
I honestly think that if we could have an audience with Moms Demand membership, that we could take half half of their membership immediately. Maybe half
Mhm.
is a little bit big because those people that are, plugged into the matrix, they're not going to be able to
Right.
hear the truth. But a lot of these women have never had an alternative. All they hear is, we're going to save the kids, and we are so squelched and we are so censored that it's really difficult to get our message out that we agree we are gonna save the kids and we have a plan to save the kids.
Right.
Like you
Well,
don't have a
and
plan. Your plan is to hope that these laws work, which they have
Never
proven that
work.
never work.
Never work. And I agree with you. And they are plugged into CNN and all this other stuff, and they can't. It's hard to get them away from that. But sometimes we took 28 people out shooting one time. I think it was 28 that never shot a gun before. And some of them were really afraid. But by the time they got done with, we had instructors there, everything, they loved it. And they've come in and bought guns. So I think if we could break them free, if we go to the
Right.
Capitol again and I'm going to invite some. I will. I'll invite them. Hey, let's go shooting. It's free.
I
I'll
love
pay
it.
for everything. We'll go out and shoot and just see what it's like on the other side. Maybe
Yep,
get a couple.
that's what it's going to take is just one starfish at a time. When we don't have the media to our back and giving us all of the exposure that the other side has to their narrative, it's just
Mhm.
going to be starfish, saving one at a time.
Diana, have you seen that? Have you seen the, I'm sorry, have you seen the media starting to come our way a little bit, or is it still?
No, no, I don't. I don't see, until we can advertise like pharmaceuticals can advertise, I'm never going to be happy. I'm like, I am a lawful person doing a lawful thing with a lawful product. And you have squelched me to the point of killing me. My on social media, our companies on mainstream media, and not allowing. It's like 2014 when the NFL would not let Daniel Defense play a very patriotic commercial because they were a firearms company, and people don't even realize that. I don't think you realize that you are not advertised to from firearms, and you don't see the World Trade Center, and those are intentional.
No, so you're exactly right. But I do want to say that within our membership, within our ranks in Women for Gun Rights, we have women who used to be very staunchly
Hmm.
anti-gun, anti-rights. And because of different incidences that, you know, light bulbs were allowed to come on in their minds, unfortunately, a lot of them were because of dangerous situations that they encountered. And thank God they've lived through it to realize, oh, shoot, that whole thing could have played out different if only I had been, you know, trained and equipped with a tool of self-protection. But we do have the opportunities to welcome people from another way of thinking.
Absolutely. And those are the best stories too.
Hmm.
Robin Sandoval is like, Katrina opened her eyes and was like, well, I'm just going to buckle down. And her husband's like, what happens when somebody comes in and takes your food with a gun? They come in with a gun, and she's like, boom, mind blown.
Hmm.
Like, so it does take some, for those that can hear, for those that have ears and that they can hear, and it's a big difference.
Hmm.
Um, they can definitely be reached.
And we can't change
Absolutely.
them overnight. You
No.
know, that's the thing that just plant the seed, let the seed grow.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Mm.
So there's something else before we run out of time that you have been working behind the scenes on. Um, you would like very high. You're like, what secrets is Cheryl about to give out? You would like to develop a White House
Mm.
Second Amendment Advisory Council where not just Women for Gun Rights sits at the table, but you want to open it to several grassroots organizations. What would be the goal and what would be the function of an effort like this?
Well, if you remember during the Biden administration, they opened an office of gun violence prevention, and that just
Mhm.
fired me up. $1.2 billion poured into that office alone, which trickled into the states to write anti-gun laws. And then when Trump came back into office the second time, I was like, "Whoa, this is an opportunity for us to say, we're going to take that, rename it the Office of Firearms Education and Violence Prevention, and use that money to help educate people, which is actually going to make them safer."
Yes,
But Doge came in, and my goal for the Second Amendment Council, if you think about it, there's a faith council. They
right,
have meetings.
right.
I think that it would be beneficial to have a Second Amendment Council, not only for us to be able to strategize and talk about, the soup of the day, what's going on, and how we can work together as a team to protect our issue. But I think it's also beneficial for the administration, like, having that lifeline. Trump has been so good on so many different levels of the Second Amendment, but he's made a couple of missteps. Like, we
Mhm.
can help, not only advise, but we can help roll out whatever the administration is trying to do, or make sure that gets highlighted to
Mhm.
counter off. It was a really rough start in the
Mhm.
first administration, and our side doesn't forget that.
Right.
So I think that the Second Amendment Council is a necessary, and beneficial to all parties. And actually, when I was in DC last time at the White House, I walked by one of the doors and it said Faith Council, and I was like, I wasn't even asking for an office. All I want is a meeting a couple times a year. And now I want an office.
Love it. Well, it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't they? I mean, there is the Freedom Caucus, right? There is a 2A caucus, and that's the members themselves, the
Right.
legislators themselves. But whenever you're trying to get your best decisions made that will really impact the individual, the closer you can get to the individual, the better your decisions are going to be. And I know that you have some inroads and people that you know and people that know people within the administration. But has there been, much of an appetite? Has there been much of a, you know,
No, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop asking.
exactly,
Right. You never stop.
exactly.
I just think that I think it's beneficial to the administration, and I think it would definitely be beneficial for our issue if all of the legacy organizations and smaller organizations like ourselves were able to strategize as a team.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons that I think it's so important that women for gun rights needs to have a seat at one of those tables because who speaks for us but us? Who can speak for us better than we can speak for ourselves? And the legacy organizations, praise God for them. They're wonderful. But anytime you see a big group photo with any of them, is there any lipstick? Are there any high heels? Is there any female present? I just never see it. And doesn't mean that they're not doing great work,
Right.
but we are not visibly represented and we are not verbally represented.
Well,
Um,
I'll go a step further in that the antis, the gun control lobby are marketing gurus. And
Mm,
they would at, let's say, a governor's signing or any kind of where they're going to be a big group, they're going to put in somebody in scrubs, somebody that represents this community, somebody that represents that community. And when you look at our crowd, it's just so conservative and everybody's in suits, everybody's dressed to the nines. That doesn't speak to the regular human being at home watching the 6 o'clock news.
mm-hmm.
So yes, I think that that's one of those things that we have room to grow
Mm-hmm.
is in the marketing and actually connecting with the public in those scenarios.
Well, and even within the legacy, the big organizations, there are women in leadership in those organizations, and they're not even like kind of savvy enough, like media savvy enough to go, maybe we should have one of our leadership women, or there's a whole organization actually called Women for Gun Rights. Maybe we'll invite them to the next shindig, right?
And a lot of people don't know what they don't know. They're just trying to do their job. Governor's offices and things that do those kind of the press media type thing around a signing.
Mm.
If you don't have somebody kind of in your ear going, "Hey, this would be a pretty good idea." That's why, there's always work for us to do when it comes to building those relationships and letting them know that, hey, this would be a good idea,
Yeah,
and we're here to help.
absolutely. Visuals matter. They just
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all that you do. I cannot wait for this big Women for Gun Rights National Summit. I don't think we said the dates for that, so go ahead and fill us in
September
on all of that.
September 12th through the 14th. And like I said, I don't know that there's going to be any more tickets based on when you air this. We have about 20 tickets available today. And I'm expecting those to go like hotcakes. That whole White House briefing thing really kind of upped the value of our summit. But if you're that 121st person that wanted to, just know that you can still come to the conference. You can still come to the gala. You can still do everything else except the White House briefing will be full.
And the rally, of course. So we are sitting in the studio on July 28th, 2026, just to anchor it in time because these will live on forever. And 5 years from now, somebody would be like, shoot, I want to go to that. And, it's
Uh-huh.
it's a different thing. And so, as you
It'll be
said,
much
women,
bigger. It'll be much bigger 5 years down the road.
I love it. So womenforgunrights.org, that's where you get the tickets. Do you have a social media presence? Where do people follow all the work that you do, Diana?
Of course, we have social media. Don't forget to follow Women for Gun Safety as well. Women for Gun Rights on Instagram, Facebook, X, and then Women for Gun Safety on Instagram. I think maybe Facebook. I would have to try that out. But give us a like, give us a follow, comment on our stuff. I think we're putting out some pretty good stuff, and there's been great collaborators. We've had great traction in collaborating with people and there's a lot of diversity on our page. So that and womenforgunrights.org. Oh, before I forget, you did mention the membership, but here's the kicker for the customer is we're going to have a raffle every month and it's going to be about a $2,000 package or more. Last month it was like a $4,700 package. This month it's like a $2,200 package, but I'm shooting for a 2,000 or more. When you are a member, the top two tiers, you get one ticket or two ticket every month for this monthly raffle. Now, if you're not a member, you can always go in and buy tickets. But if you want to support at a bigger level, you can become a member and then you're going to get these tickets automatically, which is 3 times the value of what you're paying. So it's a pretty good, and then plus the shirt, you're going to get a shirt, you're going to get a coin, things like that. So check it out at womenforgunrights.org.
Well, and I have one more thing to throw in there is that the gala is not just a chance to get dressed up and fancy, but we're going to actually have some great speakers and somebody me gets to moderate a panel. I love moderating panels. And one of the panelists
Is
is, drum
well,
roll.
we've got two that are confirmed out of the three. It's going to be the ATF director, Robert Cicada, and then also retired UFC fighter, Michelle Watterson Gomez. She goes by Karate Hottie MMA. She's adorable. She's going to be very pregnant by that time. And we're going to talk about how to make guns great again. So, yeah, that, and I think we have General Flynn coming, as well as Mark Geist from the 13 Hours incident. The movie,
Amazing.
Ghazi incident. Yeah. So, super, super cool event. I can't wait. I mean, I can wait because I'm not ready for it. And I know it's going to be here like tomorrow.
Yes.
But yeah, please come hang out with us. Come to the gala, come to the rally, even if the summit tickets are gone.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dianna Muller of Women for Gun Rights and Women for Gun Safety. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Diana.
God bless.
Happy 10-year to you as well.
Yes, absolutely. Bye-bye. Wow.
So just remember, men can join.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Michael Infanson is the chief lobbyist for the AZCDL. I'm the vice president of the AZCDL. He was one of the first men to join because he has been such a huge supporter from the word go, with all that we do with Women for Gun Rights. He'll show up to help testify on a bill at the state legislature. And he's got his teal tie on. He's got his, teal polka dotted socks on, and it's just that support. Why you have a sad face?
I wanted to be the first one.
Oh, shoot. Well, you missed that window, but you can be the 95th one or whatever. So just get in there and do it. All right. So thank you again to amazing Dianna Muller. You just don't know what conversations, you don't know what, events that happen in your life are going to absolutely change your life. And because her friend Jane Horton invited her to the Capitol building, look where we are 10 years later.
Well, look where we are 10 years later with just us.
Yeah.
I mean, and so conversation is what does it.
And, the fact that, she was just one person sitting in this conversation. She didn't say to herself, well, I'm just one person, so I can't, meet with all these legislators. She said, what if I could find one of me in every state? And then she set about doing that. And my arm didn't have to be twisted. I jumped on it. I didn't even know what she was talking about at the time. I was just like, I'm not a professional shooter. I know that's kind of what her original idea was. But I own a gun shop and I'm passionate about my rights. And we had, at the time, Gun Freedom Radio was a live radio show. Let me come and tell you the story, And it kind of came down to, this is how scientific it was at the time. She said, what state do you live in? I said, Arizona. She looked at her list. She goes, I need in Arizona. You're in. But the fact that our daughter, Cassie, was equally passionate and, wanted to bring a 2-year-old to Washington, D.C.
Right.
to do this work, it really was a God thing from the beginning.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you to Dianna. Thank you to our amazing viewers and listeners all over the planet. The fact that you find this information worthy of your most finite resource, your time, is everything to us. So thank you so much. And when you take these conversations into your carpools and into your, family dinner table discussions, that is where change really happens. So thank you so much for that. If you want to go back and listen to the audio only version of this show, you find that on our website, which is gunfreedomradio.com. Click the on demand tab and
binge listens.
That's it.
Yeah, to your heart's content, darling.
Okay. I was like, there's more to that. Say the whole thing.
Binge listen to your heart's content, darling.
Beautifully done.
Thank
Beautifully
you.
done.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
It's like a little song in my head.
Binge listen to your heart's content, darling.
Okay. I will.
Rent that for you.
And then if you
Never.
want to watch this video, share this video. We love it when you share this video. Please go to Rumble or YouTube. We're finally back out of YouTube jail after 90 days being in YouTube jail. If you will like and subscribe and hit the notifications and comment and share and do all of the things that tells those formats that you value this information and that it gives us a little hedge against cancellation and jail. So be sure and do those things. And if you want to see the photos and bios and links to what's going on with Dianna, I think I have lipstick on my tooth. Then go to our guest page, and that is at gunfreedomradio.com. Click the guest tab, and all of that information is ever growing, that database of subject matter experts. All right. Until next time. Oh, wait, I didn't talk about our not really our sponsors, but the people that we collaborate with, right? America made products on American soil, offering jobs to Americans. We have the patriotmobile.com. Everybody has a cell phone. You need a carrier. Why give your dollars to a carrier that's going to work against your rights? Go to patriotmobile.com. Get to keep your phone, your number, and your values. When you do that, patriotmobile.com/GFR, then they give us a small portion of your subscription. Buy things for your family at those big box stores. You're going to buy them anyway, right? Your shampoo, what? Your lipstick? No, you can't get lipstick there. What?
Go ahead, Cheryl.
If you're going to go to those big box stores anyway and spend your money with them and they're going to work against your rights, then why not shop at patriothousehold.com/GFR for Gun Freedom Radio. You can set your order and forget it like we do, or you can shop as you need it.
And you get a big old juicy steak. You can eat it and it take all the lipstick off your teeth.
All the lipstick off your teeth. But also, yes, they do have amazing beef products through the Riverbend Ranch. So patriothousehold.com/GFR. Finally, you are prepared minded enough that you have bought a tool of self-protection. You have taken the training. If you ever have to use a tool of self-protection, could be a knife, could be a toaster, could be a rock, the law will visit itself upon you, and you will want to have an attorney on retainer. So go to...
But remember that women should be prepared to be their own first responder. Being that causes responsibility, and you need to have an attorney.
attorneysonretainer.com. You can go on our website, our home site, gunfreedomradio.com, scroll down, find Attorneys on Retainer, click through there, and our family, every adult in our family has a membership and gives us so much peace of mind, and I know it will you too. All right, until next time, what are we going to do, Dan?
We're going to pray that we don't have lipstick on our teeth.
Yes, we are. We're going to pray.
Pray for our nation. We're going to pray for our leaders. We're going to pray for the ones that we don't like.
Maybe especially.
There's a couple that we don't like.
The ones that we don't like.
Yeah, I'm going to pray for them.
All right, until next time, be good to each other. Have a great week, and God bless.
Bye-bye.